She thought it was just an early morning swim, until her boss walked in. Aisha Monroe has spent 3 years building walls around her heart, protected, successful, untouchable. But one embarrassing moment by a pool changes everything. Daniel Whitmore isn't just the CEO who saw her at her most vulnerable. He's the man who sees past every defense she's built. What starts as the most mortifying encounter of her life becomes the beginning of something she never expected. Real love. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below, I'd love to know. And if you're ready for a love story that feels real, raw, and beautifully human, hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world. Let's dive in together. She shouldn't have trusted the silence, perhaps, but she did. Aisha Monroe stood at the edge of the private pool, wrapped in a white hotel robe, watching the sky turn from deep purple to soft pink. 29 years old, with rich mahogany skin that seemed to glow in the early morning light, she was the kind of woman who commanded attention without asking for it. Her natural curls were pulled into a high bun, a few rebellious strands framing her angular face. Dark brown eyes, sharp and observant, took in the empty terrace of the Palm Springs mansion. 6:15 a.m. Perfect. The corporate retreat had been exhausting. 3 days of presentations, networking dinners, and forced small talk with colleagues who only saw her as Daniel Whitmore's image consultant. Professional, polished, untouchable. But right now, she just wanted to be Aisha. She slipped off the robe, letting it pool at her feet. The morning air kissed her bare skin, cool and liberating. For once, she wasn't performing, wasn't projecting confidence or managing someone else's reputation. She was just free. The water welcomed her like an old friend, smooth, warm, perfect. She dove under, letting the silence wrap around her like a blanket. No phones, no emails, no expectations. Just her and the water and the breaking dawn. She swam slowly, feeling her muscles relax with each stroke. Her mind drifted to the past few months, the impossible deadlines, the difficult clients, the constant pressure to be flawless. She'd built her career on being the woman who never cracked, who always had the answer, who made millionaires look like saints. But God, she was tired. After 20 minutes of blissful solitude, Aisha surfaced near the shallow end. The sun had fully risen now, painting the desert landscape in gold and amber. She smiled, feeling more like herself than she had in months. Time to get out before someone actually wakes up. She pulled herself up the pool steps, water cascading down her body. Her towel was right there, just 3 steps away on the lounge chair. "Relax, Aisha. Nobody wakes up before 8, she murmured to herself, wringing water from her hair. The universe, apparently, had a wicked sense of humor. She took 2 steps toward the towel, completely, utterly, gloriously naked, when she heard it. Footsteps, male footsteps, on marble tile, getting closer. Her heart stopped before her brain could catch up. She turned her head slowly, almost in slow motion, and there he was. Daniel Whitmore, her boss, the CEO, the man who signed her paychecks, standing 10 feet away with a coffee mug frozen halfway to his lips. Time didn't just stop, it shattered. His eyes went wide, not with desire, not with amusement, but with pure, unfiltered shock, like he'd just walked into an alternate dimension where physics didn't exist. For exactly 2 seconds, neither of them moved. Then everything happened at once. Oh my God! Aisha grabbed for the towel with the speed of someone who'd just spotted a rattlesnake. Daniel spun around so fast his coffee sloshed over the rim of his mug. I thought I was alone. She wrapped the towel around herself with the desperation of someone trying to undo the last 30 seconds of existence. I thought you were alone. I thought I was alone. He was still facing the opposite direction, shoulders rigid, speaking to a potted palm tree. Aisha clutched the towel tighter, her face burning with a heat that had nothing to do with the desert sun. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. She'd survived impossible clients, hostile board meetings, and a presentation to 50 investors without breaking a sweat. But this was going to kill her. "I can explain," she started. "Please don't." His voice was strained, formal, like he was trying desperately to be professional while his entire worldview collapsed. "It's not what it looks like." He let out a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. "It looks like you were swimming." "Exactly, just swimming. Early morning swimming. Very normal. Very innocent. Naked swimming. I didn't think anyone would." She stopped, mortified. "You know what? Let's never speak of this again." "Agreed." Silence fell like a guillotine. Aisha stared at his back, broad shoulders in a crisp white t-shirt, dark hair still damp from what was probably his own morning routine, tall frame rigid with discomfort. Daniel Whitmore, 40 years old, self-made millionaire, known for his ice-cold composure and legendary poker face, currently talking to a plant to avoid looking at his employee. "I'm going inside now," she said quietly. "Good idea. And we're never mentioning this. Never happened. Ever." Completely erased from history, she took 3 steps toward the door, then stopped. Something, maybe insanity, maybe courage, made her speak again. For the record, the pool was amazing. She heard him exhale, saw his shoulders drop slightly. "It is a nice pool," he agreed, voice softer now. Aisha bit back a smile she didn't expect to feel. "Worth the humiliation." "I wouldn't say humiliation. I was naked in front of my boss at 6:30 in the morning. That's pretty much the definition." Another pause. Then, so quiet she almost missed it. "I've had worse mornings." Despite everything, the mortification, the horror, the certainty that she'd have to find a new job, Aisha laughed. A real laugh, surprised and helpless. "Somehow," she said. "I doubt that." She didn't wait for his response. She walked inside, towel clutched like armor, leaving a trail of water drops that caught the morning light like tiny diamonds. Behind her, Daniel finally turned around. The pool was empty again. The morning was quiet, but something had shifted, something small and strange and impossible to name. He looked down at his coffee, now cold, and shook his head. "Worst corporate retreat ever," he muttered, but he was smiling. She thought it was just a morning swim. He thought it was just an early walk. Neither of them thought it would be the beginning of something neither could control. Pretending it never happened was harder than she thought. Aisha stood in front of the bathroom mirror, applying lipstick with surgical precision. Deep plum, professional, armor. Her reflection stared back, flawless makeup, cream silk blouse tucked into tailored navy trousers, gold hoops catching the light, everything in place, everything controlled, except the memory of Daniel Whitmore's frozen expression burned into her brain like a brand. "It's fine," she told her reflection. "You're a professional. He's a professional. Adults can handle awkward situations." Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister, Maya. "Maya, how's the boring rich people retreat? You surviving?" Aisha. "Define surviving." Maya. Oh, what happened?" Aisha. "Nothing. Everything's fine." Maya. "You're using your everything's fine voice." "Spill." Aisha smiled despite herself. Maya could read her through text messages. Annoying older sister superpower. Aisha. "I'll tell you later. Maybe. If I don't die of embarrassment first." Maya. "Now. I'm intrigued. Call me tonight." Aisha slipped her phone into her pocket and took a breath. Breakfast was in 10 minutes, in a dining room, with 20 colleagues, and one CEO who'd seen her naked. Professional, she reminded herself, confident, unbothered. She grabbed her portfolio and headed downstairs. The dining room was already buzzing with conversation. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the desert, morning light spilling across a table laden with fresh fruit, pastries, and expensive coffee. Aisha's co-workers clustered in small groups, marketing on one side, finance on the other, everyone carefully maintaining their professional territories. She spotted Daniel immediately. Hard not to. 6'2", athletic build, wearing a perfectly fitted charcoal suit, despite the desert heat. He stood near the windows with Jonathan from acquisitions, nodding at something being said, coffee cup in hand. Their eyes met across the room. For exactly half a second she saw it. A flash of recognition, maybe embarrassment, definitely awareness. Then his expression smoothed into perfect neutrality. "Right. That's how we're playing this." Aisha lifted her chin and walked straight to the coffee station like she owned the place, because she did. Well, not literally, but confidence was about performance, and she'd been performing her entire career. She poured coffee, black, no sugar, and turned to survey the room. Daniel was watching her again. This time he didn't look away. Her heart did something complicated. "Stop it," she told herself. "He's your boss. You're very wealthy, very unavailable, very recently saw you naked boss." "Aisha!" Christine from PR waved her over. "Come sit with us. We're debating whether the afternoon session is actually mandatory or just strongly suggested." "Definitely mandatory," Aisha said, sliding into a chair. "Daniel doesn't do strongly suggested." "Speaking of Daniel," Christine lowered her voice conspiratorially, "have you noticed he's been different lately? Almost human?" Aisha nearly choked on her coffee. Human how? I don't know. Less robot CEO, more actual person. He smiled at me yesterday, smiled. I almost dropped my laptop. Maybe he's just in a good mood, Aisha offered carefully. Or maybe someone finally convinced him to take that stick out of his... Good morning, everyone. The room went quiet. Daniel stood at the head of the table, presence commanding without effort. His voice was smooth, controlled, the kind that made people listen whether they wanted to or not. I know we have a full schedule today, he continued, but I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the work you've all done this quarter, particularly our image consulting team. His eyes found Aisha's, held. Their strategic approach has been invaluable. Aisha felt 15 pairs of eyes turn toward her. She smiled professionally, ignoring the heat creeping up her neck. Thank you, she said simply. Daniel's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Respect? The beginning of something neither of them had a name for? He moved on to quarterly projections, but Aisha barely heard it. Her mind was still stuck on that look, the one that said, we have a secret, and I see you, and this is more complicated than either of us planned. After breakfast, Aisha escaped to the garden. She needed air, space. 5 minutes without analyzing every micro-expression. The desert garden was surprisingly lush, succulents and cacti arranged with artistic precision, a small fountain bubbling in the corner. She sat on a stone bench, closed her eyes and let the sun warm her face. Hiding? Her eyes snapped open. Daniel stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, looking significantly less CEO and more human, just like Christine said. Taking a break, she corrected. You? Same. He gestured to the bench. May I? She nodded, suddenly aware of how alone they were, how quiet. He sat, leaving a respectful distance between them. For a moment, neither spoke. About this morning, he started. We agreed never to speak of it. I know, but I think we should acknowledge that you saw me naked. Aisha turned to face him, eyebrow raised. Consider it acknowledged. Can we move on now? Daniel blinked. Then, slowly, he smiled. A real smile, not the corporate one. It transformed his entire face, softened the sharp angles, lit up his grey-blue eyes, made him look younger. Dangerous, Aisha thought. That smile is dangerous. You're direct, he said. I'm efficient. There's a difference. Is there? Being direct is about honesty. Being efficient is about not wasting time on things that don't matter. And this doesn't matter. The question hung between them, heavier than it should be. Aisha considered lying, considered keeping every wall firmly in place, but something about the way he was looking at her, not as an employee, not as a problem to solve, but as a person, made her choose truth instead. I don't know yet, she admitted. He nodded slowly, like she'd just given him a gift. Fair enough, the fountain burbled. A hummingbird darted past. The moment stretched, comfortable in its uncertainty. For what it's worth, Daniel said quietly, I didn't mean to intrude on your privacy. I know. And I respect you, your work, He paused, searching for words. Everything you bring to the company. But, no but, just, I wanted you to know that. Aisha studied him, really looked at him for the first time, past the expensive suit and commanding presence. She saw tiredness around his eyes, a slight tension in his shoulders, the careful control of someone who'd spent years building walls higher than hers. Thank you, she said softly. He stood, brushing invisible dust from his trousers. Back to business, back to safe. The afternoon session starts in 20 minutes, he said. I'll be there. He started to walk away, then turned back. Aisha? Yes? The pool really is nice. You should use it again. Maybe with a swimsuit this time. She burst out laughing, couldn't help it. The sound surprised them both. Noted, she managed. He walked away, but she caught it. The slight smile, the looseness in his stride. Something had shifted, something neither of them planned. And for the first time in years, Aisha Monroe didn't have complete control over what happened next. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like possibility. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't what someone sees, it's what they make you feel when they look away. The retreat ended Sunday afternoon, and by Monday morning, Aisha was back in her Los Angeles apartment like nothing had happened. Except everything had happened. She stood in her kitchen brewing coffee in her favorite mug, the chipped one Maya had given her that said caffeinated and complicated, and tried to convince herself that the past 3 days were just a blip. A weird, awkward, surprisingly pleasant blip. Her apartment was her sanctuary. Exposed brick walls, plants everywhere, a vintage leather couch she'd found at an estate sale, artwork from local black artists covering every available surface. It was small, but it was hers. A space where she didn't have to perform or project or be anyone but herself. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. This is Daniel Whitmore. I hope you don't mind. I got your number from the retreat contact sheet. I wanted to reach out personally. Aisha stared at the screen. Her boss, texting her, on a Monday morning. From the contact sheet they'd all signed for the retreat. Aisha, that's fine. Is there a work emergency? Daniel, no. I wanted to thank you for your professionalism this weekend. Aisha, you're texting me to say thank you. Daniel, is that strange? Aisha, a little. You have 3 assistants who usually handle your communication. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Daniel, maybe I wanted to handle this one myself. Aisha bit her lip, fighting a smile. She saved his number, hesitated over what to name it, settled on Daniel W. Professional, neutral, definitely not saw me naked guy. Aisha, well, you're welcome, and thank you for not making things weird. Daniel, things are definitely weird. Aisha, fair point. Daniel, but I appreciate you handling it with grace. She set down her coffee, suddenly more awake than caffeine could ever make her. Aisha, Grace is my middle name. Actually, it's Marie, but Grace sounds better. Daniel, Aisha, Marie Monroe. It suits you. Something warm bloomed in her chest. Dangerous. She changed the subject. Aisha, shouldn't you be in a meeting right now? Daniel, I have 5 minutes, using them wisely. Aisha, texting your image consultant is wise. Daniel, apparently. The 3 dots appeared again. Then, Daniel, have a good day, Aisha. She stared at her phone for a full minute after he stopped typing. Then she called Maya. It's 7:30 in the morning, Maya answered, voice thick with sleep. Someone better be dying. I think I'm in trouble. What kind of trouble? Aisha walked to her couch, curling into the corner with her coffee. The kind where your boss texts you on a Monday morning just to say thank you. Maya was instantly alert. Wait, the CEO, Ice King Daniel, that boss? The same. And you think this is, what, flirting? I don't know what it is, that's the problem. Back up. Start from the beginning. What happened at that retreat? Aisha took a breath. I may have, accidentally, been naked in front of him. Silence. What? It was an accident. I thought I was alone at the pool. Oh my God, Aisha. And he walked out and saw me, and it was mortifying, and then we talked, and he was actually really human. Human? Girl, that man is a robot in a suit. Everyone knows that. That's what I thought, but he's not. He's funny and kind, and he smiled at me, and it was... Aisha stopped, hearing herself. I'm spiraling. You're not spiraling. You're interested. There's a difference. I can't be interested. He's my boss. Is he a good boss? The best. He's brilliant, fair, challenges me without undermining me. And now he's texting you on a Monday morning. Maya, this is a bad idea. Maybe. Or maybe it's the first good idea you've had in 3 years. Aisha closed her eyes. 3 years since Alan. 3 years since she'd let herself feel anything beyond professional satisfaction. 3 years of safe. I'm not ready for complicated, she said quietly. Nobody's ever ready, Aish. That's not how it works. After they hung up, Aisha sat with her coffee and her thoughts and the morning light streaming through her windows. Her phone buzzed again. Daniel, one more thing. I meant what I said in the garden. You should use the pool again sometime. The house is mine. I bought it for company retreats. You're welcome any time. Her heart did that complicated thing again. Aisha, are you inviting me to your house? Daniel, I'm inviting you to use a pool. There's a difference. Aisha, is there? Daniel, you tell me. She smiled despite herself. He was using her own words against her. Aisha, I'll think about it. Daniel, that's all I'm asking. Tuesday morning, Aisha walked into the office with her armor firmly in place. Black blazer, white silk camisole, her hair in a sleek low bun. Professional, untouchable. She made it exactly 3 hours before Daniel appeared at her office door. Do you have a minute? He asked. Of course. She gestured to the chair across from her desk, suddenly hyper-aware of how small her office was, how close he'd be sitting. He closed the door, sat, looked at her with those grey-blue eyes that seemed to see more than she wanted to show. I need your honest opinion on something, he said. Always. The board wants me to do a media tour. 3 interviews, 2 podcasts, 1 magazine profile. They think it'll humanize the company. And you disagree? I think it's a waste of time. But Rebecca from PR says you're the one who'll tell me if I'm being stubborn or strategic. Aisha leaned back in her chair, studying him. You're being stubborn. He blinked. That's it? No diplomatic explanation? You asked for honest. The board's right. People trust companies led by people they can relate to. Right now, you're an enigma. Brilliant, successful, completely inaccessible. A media tour would change that. I don't want to be accessible. Why not? The question seemed to surprise him. He was quiet for a moment, then, because once people think they know you, they stop seeing you clearly. They see what they want to see. And you'd rather be unknown than misunderstood? Wouldn't you? It was Aisha's turn to pause. He'd somehow turned this into something personal, something real. No, she said finally. I'd rather be seen, really seen, by the people who matter, even if it's scary. Their eyes held. The air between them shifted. Is that your professional opinion? He asked quietly. It's my personal one. And professionally? Professionally, I think you should do the tour. Let me prep you. I'll make sure you're seen the way you want to be seen. And how's that? Human. Brilliant. Someone worth trusting. Something flickered across his face. Vulnerability, maybe gratitude. You think that's possible? I know it is. He stood but didn't move toward the door. Aisha? Yes? Thank you, for being honest. That's what you pay me for. No, he met her eyes. I pay you for your expertise. The honesty is something you give freely. I don't take that lightly. He left before she could respond, leaving her office feeling smaller and warmer and infinitely more complicated than it had 5 minutes ago. Her phone buzzed. Maya. So? Did you see him today? Aisha. Yes. Maya. And? Aisha. And I think I'm in more trouble than I thought. Maya. Good. It's about time. Aisha smiled, shook her head and got back to work. But her mind kept drifting back to the way he'd looked at her, like she was the answer to a question he hadn't known he was asking. Thursday evening arrived with the kind of tension that made Aisha's apartment feel too small. She'd spent the day preparing Daniel for his first podcast interview. Voice coaching, message points, crisis scenarios. Professional, controlled, exactly what she was paid to do. What she wasn't paid to do was notice the way he leaned forward when she spoke, like every word mattered, or how he'd started bringing her coffee in the mornings, black, no sugar, exactly how she liked it, or the fact that their texts had evolved from professional to something else entirely. Daniel, the interview went well. You were right about the personal anecdotes. Aisha, I'm always right. You should write that down. Daniel, already did. Framed it. Hung it in my office. Aisha, sarcasm doesn't suit you. Daniel, neither does humility, apparently. She smiled at her phone, then caught herself. This was becoming dangerous, comfortable, real. Her doorbell rang. Aisha frowned. She wasn't expecting anyone. Maya was in San Diego for work, and her neighbor Mrs. Chen only came by on Sundays for their standing tea arrangement. She checked the peephole and her heart stopped. Daniel Whitmore stood in her hallway, holding a bottle of wine and looking significantly less CEO-like in dark jeans and a grey Henley. She opened the door. What are you doing here? Hello to you too. He smiled, that dangerous smile. May I come in? That depends. Why are you at my apartment at 7 o'clock on a Thursday? I was in the neighborhood. You live in Malibu. This is Silver Lake. That's not a neighborhood, that's a 40-minute drive. Fine. I wanted to thank you properly for the interview prep. And I thought, he paused, suddenly less confident, I thought maybe we could have dinner, as colleagues, who are also becoming friends. Aisha crossed her arms, leaning against the doorframe. You couldn't just text me. I could have. But then I'd miss the look on your face right now. What look? The one that says you're trying to decide if this is a terrible idea or just a moderately bad one. She laughed, despite herself. Come in. But if this wine is cheap, you're leaving. It's a 2015 Napa Cabernet. I have standards. Barely. He stepped inside, and Aisha watched him take in her space. She felt suddenly vulnerable. This was her sanctuary, her real self on display. The plants, the art, the mismatched furniture that somehow worked together. This is... Daniel turned slowly, taking it all in. This is perfect. Perfect? It's you. Completely you. Something warm unfurled in her chest. Is that your professional assessment? That's my personal one. She took the wine, needing something to do with her hands. I wasn't planning on company. I have leftover Thai food and half a rotisserie chicken. Sounds perfect. You're a millionaire. You can afford actual restaurants. I can also afford to appreciate a good rotisserie chicken. He followed her to the kitchen. Besides, restaurants are performative. This is real. Aisha poured wine into 2 glasses, the nice ones she saved for special occasions, though she wasn't ready to examine why this qualified. Real is overrated. You don't believe that. How do you know? Because you told me to be seen by the people who matter, even if it's scary. She handed him a glass, their fingers brushing. I was talking about the media tour. Were you? The question hung between them, heavy with meaning. Aisha took a sip of wine, it was excellent, damn him, and changed the subject. So, dinner. I'm assuming this isn't just about thanking me. Daniel leaned against her counter, completely at ease in her space. You're right. I wanted to ask you something personal. How personal? The kind that has nothing to do with work. Her pulse quickened. Go ahead. Why image consulting? You're brilliant. You could do anything. Why this? The question surprised her. Most people asked about her clients, her strategies, her success rate. Nobody asked about the why. My father, she said simply. He was a pastor, small church in Oakland. He understood that image wasn't about vanity. It was about being heard. He taught me that how you present yourself determines whether people listen to your message. Is he still? He passed. 6 years ago. Heart attack. She said it matter-of-factly, the way she always did. The grief had dulled to a manageable ache. But his lessons stuck. I'm sorry. Don't be. He lived exactly the way he wanted. That's more than most people can say. Daniel nodded slowly. My father wanted me to be a lawyer. Corporate law. Safe. Prestigious. Boring. But you became a venture capitalist instead. I became myself instead. He swirled his wine. He didn't speak to me for 2 years after I started my first company. And now? Now he tells everyone his son is a CEO. Funny how success makes people rewrite history. Aisha heard the edge in his voice. Old hurt, carefully controlled. You're still angry. I'm realistic. People love you when you succeed and question you when you're building. That's just life. That's lonely. He looked at her then, really looked at her. Yes, it is. The vulnerability in his voice did something to her carefully constructed walls. She pulled out plates, needing movement. Thai food or chicken? She asked. Both. I'm starving. They ate at her small dining table, wine flowing, conversation easier than it should be. He asked about Maya, and Aisha found herself talking about her sister's gallery opening next month. He shared stories about growing up in Connecticut, private schools, the pressure of being the oldest son. Do you ever regret it? Aisha asked. The path you chose? Never. But I regret the cost sometimes. What cost? Connection. Real connection. Everyone wants something from me. Advice, money, access. Nobody just wants me. That's dramatic. He laughed. You really don't do sympathy, do you? I do honesty. Sympathy is for people who want to be coddled. You're not that person. How do you know? Because you drove 40 minutes to have leftovers with your image consultant instead of eating at some 5-star restaurant with people who tell you what you want to hear. Daniel set down his fork. Is that what I'm doing? You tell me. The air shifted, charged. He held her gaze. I came here, he said quietly, because you're the first person in years who sees me as Daniel, not as the CEO, not as the checkbook, just Daniel. And that scares you, terrifies me. Good, Aisha smiled. Fear means you're paying attention. He reached across the table, his hand covering hers. Warm, solid, real. I'm paying attention, Aisha. Her breath caught. This was the moment. The one where she could pull back, keep it professional, protect herself. Instead, she turned her hand over, lacing her fingers with his. So am I. They sat like that for a long moment. Wine glasses half empty, plates forgotten, the Los Angeles night humming beyond her windows. Finally, Daniel squeezed her hand and pulled back. I should go. You should. Before I do something we both overthink. Like what? He stood, moving toward the door. Stopped. Turned back. Like tell you that I haven't stopped thinking about you since Palm Springs. And it has nothing to do with that pool. Aisha's heart hammered. Daniel, I know. It's complicated. You work for me. There are rules. But I needed you to know. He opened the door, then paused. Thank you for dinner. And for being real. Thank you for the wine, and for being brave enough to show up. He smiled, that devastating, genuine smile. Good night, Aisha Marie Monroe. Good night, Daniel. After he left, Aisha stood in her apartment, hand pressed to her racing heart. Her phone buzzed. Maya, how was your night? Aisha, complicated. Maya, good complicated or bad complicated? Aisha, I don't know yet. But she did know. She was falling, slowly, carefully, terrifyingly, and for the first time in 3 years, she wasn't running away. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you, not the image you project, but the person you actually are. Saturday morning, Aisha woke to 3 things: sunshine streaming through her windows, the smell of coffee she hadn't made, and a text message that made her heart skip. Daniel, I know it's your day off, but I'm at the farmer's market near your place, and they have those peaches you mentioned. Should I get some? She stared at the ceiling, smiling like an idiot. He remembered. One throwaway comment about loving white peaches during their dinner, and he remembered. Aisha, how do you even know where I live? Wait, don't answer that. Yes to peaches. Daniel, HR has its uses. I'll be there in 20 minutes, unless that's too presumptuous. Aisha, it's extremely presumptuous. See you in 20. She jumped out of bed, suddenly very aware that she was wearing an oversized Howard University t-shirt and had not, in fact, brushed her hair. She made it to the bathroom in record time. 19 minutes later, her doorbell rang. Daniel stood there in a white t-shirt and jeans, sunglasses pushed up on his head, holding a paper bag of peaches, and looking unfairly attractive for someone who'd probably rolled out of bed an hour ago. You're early, she said. You're beautiful. The words hung between them. Simple, honest, devastating. Aisha's breath caught. You can't just say things like that. Why not? Because, she gestured vaguely, because you're my boss and I'm supposed to maintain professional boundaries and… It's Saturday, he interrupted gently. Can we pretend, just for today, that I'm not your boss? That I'm just Daniel, and you're just Aisha, and we're just 2 people who like each other? Do we like each other? He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar and something crisp. I drove to 3 different farmers' markets to find white peaches. What do you think? She took the bag, fighting a smile. I think you're ridiculous. I think you're right. They stood in her doorway, the morning sun warm on their faces, the city waking up around them. Come in, Aisha said finally. I just made coffee. You always just make coffee when I show up? I make it every morning. You just happen to keep showing up. Lucky timing. Is it? He smiled, following her inside. No, it's intentional. They spent the morning on her small balcony, eating peaches and drinking coffee and talking about everything except work. Daniel told her about growing up in Connecticut, private schools where everyone knew everyone, the pressure of expectations. Did you have friends? Aisha asked, cutting into another peach. Allies. It's different. How? Friends care about you. Allies care about what you can do for them. That's cynical. That's experience. He leaned back in his chair. So until college, I don't think I had a single conversation that wasn't transactional. And then I met my roommate Peter. First night of freshman year, he looked at my designer luggage and said, "Rich kid, huh? Don't worry. I won't hold it against you. We've been best friends for 20 years. Aisha smiled. I like him already. He'd like you too. He's the one who told me to stop being an idiot and tell you how I feel. Her heart stuttered. How you feel? Daniel set down his coffee, meeting her eyes. Like I've been sleepwalking through my life and you woke me up. That's… She stopped. Vulnerable, honest, terrifying. That's a lot. Too much? I don't know yet. He nodded, backing off. Fair enough. Your turn? My turn. Tell me something real. Something you don't put in your professional bio. Aisha considered deflecting. Then she remembered his vulnerability and chose honesty instead. I'm scared, she admitted. All the time. Not about work, I know I'm good at what I do, but about this. About letting someone in and having them realize I'm not as strong as I seem. You think strength means not being scared, doesn't it? No. Daniel reached across the small table, taking her hand. Strength means being scared and showing up anyway, like you do every single day. Tears pricked her eyes. Unexpected. Unwelcome. She blinked them back. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brilliant and kind and brave. I know you challenge me in ways nobody else does. I know that when you smile, actually smile, it changes the entire room. He squeezed her hand. And I know I want to keep learning everything else. Aisha's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. She glanced at it, Maya calling. I should… Take it, Daniel said, releasing her hand. I'll clean up, she answered, stepping inside. Hey, Maya. Okay, I'm calling an intervention. You've been weird all week. Spill. Aisha watched through the glass as Daniel collected their plates, completely comfortable in her space. He's here. Who's… Wait. CEO Daniel. At your apartment. Right now. He brought me peaches. I'm sorry, what? White peaches. From the farmer's market. Aisha Marie Monroe, you better start from the beginning because I am lost. Aisha laughed, sinking onto her couch. She told Maya everything. The dinner, the texts, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Girl, Maya said when she finished, you're already gone. I'm not, you are. And that's okay, you deserve this. What if it doesn't work out? What if it does? Maya's voice softened. You've been protecting yourself for 3 years. Alan didn't deserve you, and you know that. But you can't let one bad relationship keep you from a good one. This isn't a relationship. It's complicated. Everything worth having is complicated. The question is, do you want this? Aisha looked at Daniel, who was now examining her bookshelf with genuine interest, pulling out a worn copy of Toni Morrison. Yeah, she whispered. I do. Then stop overthinking and just be present. Let yourself feel something. After they hung up, Aisha found Daniel sitting on her couch reading the opening lines of Beloved. You're a Morrison fan? She asked. I'm a good writing fan. This is extraordinary. She sat beside him. Not too close, but close enough. My father gave me that copy when I was 16. Said I needed to understand that stories can change how we see the world. He was right. Daniel set the book down carefully. Aisha, can I ask you something? Always. What happened? The thing that made you protect yourself so carefully? She could deflect, change the subject, keep that wall firmly in place. Instead, she chose truth. His name was Alan. We dated for 2 years. I thought he was safe, stable. He said he loved my ambition, my drive. Then I got promoted, started traveling more, and suddenly I was too busy, too focused on work, too much. She picked at a thread on her jeans. He wanted me smaller, quieter. I chose myself instead. Good. She looked up, surprised. Good? Anyone who needs you smaller doesn't deserve you at all. Daniel's voice was fierce. You're extraordinary exactly as you are. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I've watched you command boardrooms full of men twice your age. I've seen you rebuild someone's entire public image in 3 weeks. I've witnessed you be kind and ruthless in the same breath. He shifted closer. And I've seen you dance in your kitchen when you think nobody's watching. You've never... She stopped. Wait, when? Last Tuesday I came by to drop off those media files. You didn't hear me knock. You were making dinner and dancing to... I think it was Erykah Badu. Aisha's face heated. You stood there watching me? For about 30 seconds. Then I left because I didn't want to interrupt something that joyful. He smiled. But it's been my favorite image of you ever since. Her heart was doing that complicated thing again. Daniel, I know, it's too much, too fast, but I've spent 20 years being careful and controlled and I'm tired of it. So I'm going to be honest. I like you. A lot. And I want to see where this goes. What about work? We'll figure it out. Together, if you want to. What if I don't? Then I'll respect that. But I'll also regret not trying for the rest of my life. Aisha looked at him, really looked at him. Past the CEO, past the wealth, past the perfect exterior. She saw vulnerability, hope, genuine care, and she made a choice. I want to try, she said softly. His smile could have lit up the entire city. Yeah, but we take it slow. And we keep work separate. And if it gets complicated, we'll handle it like adults, with honesty. Okay? Okay. She nodded. Okay. He leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull back. She didn't. Their lips met. Soft, tentative, perfect. Not urgent or desperate. Just right. When they pulled apart, Daniel rested his forehead against hers. I've been wanting to do that since Palm Springs, he admitted. Even after seeing me naked. Especially after seeing you naked. She laughed, swatting his arm. You're terrible. I'm honest. That too. They spent the rest of the afternoon together, talking, laughing, existing in each other's space. No pressure, no performance. Just 2 people learning how to be real. As the sun started to set, Daniel finally stood to leave. Same time next Saturday? He asked at the door. Presumptuous again. Hopeful. Bring better coffee next time. There's nothing wrong with my coffee. There's nothing right with it either. He kissed her again. Longer this time, deeper. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with promise. Good night, Aisha. Good night, Daniel. After he left, she called Maya back. So, Maya demanded. What happened? I kissed him. Finally. And I think I'm falling in love with him. About damn time. Aisha smiled, touching her lips. Yeah, about damn time. 3 weeks changed everything, and nothing at all. At work, Aisha and Daniel maintained perfect professionalism. Emails were formal. Meetings were productive. Nobody suspected that the CEO had kissed his image consultant in her apartment, or that they texted each other good morning before the sun came up. But outside the office? That was a different story entirely. Tuesday evening, Aisha stood in front of her closet, phone pressed between her shoulder and ear, while Maya laughed on the other end. "It's just dinner," Aisha insisted, pulling out a burgundy dress. "Nothing fancy." "Girl, he's taking you to Republique. That's not just dinner, that's a statement. It's a restaurant. It's the restaurant, the one with the 6-month waiting list, the one food critics write sonnets about." Aisha paused. "How do you know where we're going?" "Because you're predictable when you're nervous. You always check Google Maps the night before. I saw your search history. That's creepy. That's sisterhood. Now wear the burgundy dress, the one with the slit. And those heels I bought you for your birthday. Those heels are 4 inches. Exactly, you're dating a 6'2" millionaire. Match his energy." "I'm not—" Aisha stopped. Were they dating? They'd had dinner 3 times, texted constantly. He'd kissed her twice more since that first Saturday, once in her kitchen, once in his car outside her apartment, both times leaving her breathless. "You're absolutely dating him," Maya said, reading her mind, "and you deserve this. So put on the dress, be gorgeous, and let that man worship you properly." An hour later, Aisha stood in front of her mirror, barely recognizing herself. The burgundy dress hugged her curves perfectly, the slit revealing just enough leg to be confident without trying too hard. Her natural curls were styled in a high puff, gold hoops catching the light. She looked powerful, beautiful, ready. Her phone buzzed. "Daniel, I'm downstairs. Take your time." "Aisha, be right down." "Daniel, or I could come up." "So I've been thinking about that dress all day." "Aisha, how do you know what I'm wearing?" "Daniel, lucky guess. Or maybe I just know you." She smiled, grabbed her clutch, and headed downstairs. Daniel leaned against his car, a sleek black Audi, because of course, wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than her rent. But what caught her breath wasn't the suit. It was the way he looked at her, like she was art, like she was everything. "Hi," she said, suddenly shy. "Hi, yourself." He stepped forward, taking her hand. "You're stunning. You clean up okay too." "Just okay? Don't fish for compliments. It's beneath you." He laughed, opening her door. "I've missed you. You saw me 4 hours ago, in a conference room with 12 other people. Doesn't count." The restaurant was exactly as beautiful as Maya promised. All high ceilings, warm light, and the kind of quiet elegance that made you feel like you were in Paris instead of Los Angeles. They were seated at a corner table, private enough for intimacy but visible enough to feel real. "This is incredible," Aisha said, looking around. "Wait until you try the food." Daniel poured her wine, a Sancerre she couldn't pronounce but tasted like summer. "I have a confession." "Another one?" "I've been coming here for years, every major business deal, every celebration, but I've never brought anyone personal." "Why not?" "Because this place matters to me, and I only wanted to share it with someone who—" He paused, searching for words. "Someone who mattered more." Aisha's heart squeezed. "That's a lot of pressure. Is it working? Maybe. Just maybe. Don't push your luck, Whitmore." He grinned, and they fell into easy conversation. He asked about her week, really asked, wanting details about the difficult client she'd managed, the presentation she'd nailed. She asked about his podcast interview, laughing when he admitted he'd referenced something she'd taught him, and the host had called it refreshingly honest. "You're making me look good," he said. "You're doing that yourself. I'm just helping people see what's already there." "Is that what you do, help people see?" "That's exactly what I do." "Then help me see something." He leaned forward. "Help me see why someone as extraordinary as you is sitting here with me." "You really want to know?" "I really do." Aisha set down her fork, meeting his eyes. "Because you see me too. Not the professional mask, not the strong black woman who has it all together. You see Aisha, the one who dances in her kitchen and overthinks everything and gets scared sometimes. And you don't ask me to be smaller or quieter or easier. You just see me." "I do see you," he said softly. "All of you. And I'm not going anywhere." The weight of his words settled between them, promise and commitment, and something neither of them was quite ready to name. Their food arrived, and they ate slowly, savoring. Daniel told her about his best friend Peter, who was getting married in 3 months, and wanted Daniel to be his best man. "Are you nervous?" Aisha asked. "Terrified. Public speaking doesn't scare me, but emotional vulnerability in front of 200 people, that's different." "You'll be great. Just speak from the heart." "What if my heart is bad at speeches?" Your heart is bad at a lot of things. Speeches won't be one of them. He raised an eyebrow. My heart is bad at a lot of things. Protection. Distance. Pretending you don't feel things deeply. You've known me for a month. I'm very observant. Apparently. He reached across the table, threading his fingers through hers. What else have you observed? That you use humor to deflect. That you're terrified of disappointing people. That you haven't told your family about me because you're not sure how to explain something that doesn't fit into their neat little boxes. He was quiet for a moment. Have you told your family about me? Maya knows. She's been insufferable about it. And your mom? I'll tell her when I'm ready. When I know this is... She paused. Real, he finished. Yeah, real. It's real for me, Aisha. Has been since Palm Springs. Even though I was naked. Especially because you were naked. Not in that way, he added quickly, seeing her expression, but because you were unguarded, completely yourself, and I realized I wanted to know that version of you. The real one. Tears pricked her eyes. She blinked them back. You're making it very hard to keep my walls up. Good. I don't want your walls. I want you. After dinner, they walked through the streets of Los Angeles, the city alive with evening energy. Daniel kept her hand in his, warm and steady. Where to now? He asked. Somewhere quiet where we can just be. He thought for a moment, then smiled. I know exactly the place. 20 minutes later, they stood on a hillside overlooking the city, lights spreading out like scattered stars. It was private, peaceful, perfect. How did you find this? Aisha asked. I used to come here when I first started my company, when everything felt impossible, and I needed to remember why I was doing it. And why were you doing it? Freedom. The chance to build something that mattered. He turned to her. But standing here now, none of that seems as important as this moment. Right here, with you. Aisha's breath caught. Daniel. He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. I'm falling in love with you, Aisha Monroe. And I need you to know that before I kiss you again. Because once I do, I'm not going to want to stop. Her heart was racing, soaring, breaking open. Then don't stop. He kissed her like she was oxygen. Necessary, vital, life-giving. She melted into him, her hands sliding up his chest, feeling his heart pound as hard as hers. The city lights blurred, the world fell away, and there was only this, his mouth on hers, his arms around her, the feeling of being completely, utterly seen. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Daniel rested his forehead against hers. Come home with me, he whispered. Daniel, not for... I just want more time with you. We can watch terrible movies, drink wine, fall asleep on the couch. I just don't want this night to end. She pulled back, searching his eyes. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Okay. Take me home. His smile could have outshone every light in Los Angeles. They drove to his place, a stunning modern house in the Hollywood Hills, all glass and clean lines and breathtaking views. But Aisha barely noticed the architecture. She was too focused on the way Daniel held her hand, the way he looked at her like she was the most important thing in his world. They ended up on his couch with wine and blankets, watching some action movie neither of them paid attention to. Aisha curled into his side, his arm around her shoulders, feeling safer than she had in years. This is nice, she murmured. It's perfect. Are we moving too fast? Are you scared? Terrified. He kissed the top of her head. Me too. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe with anyone else. She tilted her face up, finding his mouth. The kiss was slower this time, deeper, a promise of more. When she finally pulled back, Daniel smiled against her lips. Stay, he said softly. I am staying. No, I mean, stay. Tonight, in my bed, just sleeping. I just want you close. Her heart melted completely. Okay. They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other, the city lights twinkling beyond the windows, both of them finally home. Sometimes falling in love isn't about grand gestures. It's about someone saying stay and meaning it with their entire heart. Aisha woke to sunlight filtering through unfamiliar curtains and the smell of coffee. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The dinner, the confession, the kiss that made the world tilt. She was in Daniel's bed, wearing one of his t-shirts, her burgundy dress draped over a chair. She stretched, smiling at the ceiling. They'd stayed up until 2 in the morning, talking about everything and nothing. He'd lent her pajamas, well, a Yale t-shirt that hung to her knees, and they'd fallen asleep wrapped around each other like they'd been doing it for years. Her phone showed 6 missed texts from Maya, all variations of "Where are you?" and "You better be safe." Aisha, I'm safe. I'm at Daniel's. Maya, I knew it. Details now. Aisha, nothing happened, we just slept. Maya, just slept at a millionaire's house in the hills. Girl, your life is a romance novel. Aisha, it kind of feels like one. Maya, good. You deserve your happily ever after. Now go get your man. Aisha padded downstairs, following the sound of clinking dishes. Daniel's house looked different in daylight, less imposing, more lived in. Books stacked on tables, a vintage record player in the corner, photographs she hadn't noticed last night. She found him in the kitchen, barefoot in sweatpants and a white t-shirt, making breakfast. Actual breakfast. Eggs, toast, fresh fruit arranged on plates like he knew what he was doing. "You cook?" she asked from the doorway. He turned, face lighting up. "Good morning, beautiful. And yes, I cook. Badly, but enthusiastically. That's a dangerous combination. The eggs are edible. I tested them. How reassuring." She walked over, accepting the coffee he handed her. "Black. Perfect. You remembered. I remember everything about you." He kissed her forehead, casual and intimate. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in months." "Same." He plated the eggs, gesturing to the breakfast bar. "Sit. Eat. Then I'm taking you somewhere." "Where?" "It's a surprise." "I don't like surprises." "You'll like this one." An hour later, they pulled up to a small art gallery in Silver Lake. Aisha recognized it immediately. Maya's gallery, where her sister's opening was happening next week. "How did you—" she started. "You mentioned it. I wanted to see her work before the opening. And I thought—" he paused, suddenly uncertain. "I thought maybe I could meet her. If that's okay. If it's too soon—" "It's not too soon." Aisha's heart melted. "It's perfect." Maya stood inside, directing installation, and her face when she saw them was priceless. Shock, delight, and sisterly smugness all at once. "Well, well," Maya said, walking over. "The famous Daniel. I've heard so much about you. All good things, I hope. Mostly." Maya's smile was wicked. "My sister's been glowing for 3 weeks. I assume you're responsible." "Maya," Aisha warned. "What? I'm just stating facts." She turned to Daniel. "Welcome to the family chaos. We're direct, we're loud. And we will absolutely embarrass Aisha at every opportunity." Daniel laughed, a real, genuine laugh. "I think I'm going to like you." "Of course you are. I'm delightful." Maya linked her arm through his. "Come on, let me show you the pieces before the critics tear them apart next week." Aisha watched as her sister pulled Daniel through the gallery, explaining her artistic vision with the same passion she brought to everything. And Daniel, brilliant, composed CEO Daniel, listened like it was the most important lecture he'd ever heard. "This one," Maya said, stopping in front of a large canvas, bold colors, abstract figures, movement and emotion captured in paint. "This is called Becoming. It's about transformation, about becoming who you're meant to be, not who people expect." "It's extraordinary," Daniel said quietly. "How much?" Maya blinked. "You want to buy it?" "If it's for sale." "Daniel," Aisha interjected, "you don't have to—" "I want to." He looked at Maya. "Your work deserves to be seen, and this piece, it resonates." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "That's the nicest thing anyone's said about my art in years." "Then people haven't been paying attention." After they left the gallery, with Becoming sold and Maya practically floating with joy, Aisha turned to Daniel in the car. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For seeing her. Really seeing her. Not just buying the painting because she's my sister, but because you actually connected with her work. She's talented, and she's important to you. That makes her important to me." Aisha's throat tightened. "You're making it very hard not to fall completely in love with you." He pulled over right there on the street and kissed her. Deep, thorough, devastating. "Good," he murmured against her lips, "because I'm already there." That evening, Aisha sat at her apartment with Maya, wine flowing, both of them giddy. "Okay," Maya said, "I officially approve. He's smart, he's kind, and he bought my most expensive piece without blinking. He did that for you, not to impress me, which is exactly why I approve. He sees people, Aisha, really sees them, just like you do." "I'm scared," Aisha admitted. "What if this is too good? What if something goes wrong? What if nothing goes wrong? What if this is just it, the real thing? I don't know if I believe in the real thing." "Yes, you do. You're just scared to hope." Maya squeezed her hand. "But I'm telling you, as your annoying older sister who's always right about these things, that man is gone for you. And you're gone for him. So stop overthinking and just enjoy it." Her phone buzzed. Daniel, thank you for today. Meeting Maya, seeing her art, watching you with your sister. It's the best day I've had in years. Aisha, thank you for being you. Daniel, can I see you tomorrow? Aisha, you saw me all day today. Daniel, not enough. Never enough. Aisha, dinner at my place? I'll actually cook this time. Daniel, perfect. Should I bring anything? Aisha, just yourself. Daniel, that feels insufficient. Aisha, it's more than enough. Maya watched her smile at her phone. You've got it bad. I really do. And you're happy. Aisha thought about Daniel's laugh, the way he held her like she was precious, how he'd looked at Maya's art with genuine appreciation. She thought about falling asleep in his arms and waking up to coffee already made. Yeah, she said softly, I'm really happy. Wednesday morning brought reality crashing back. Aisha walked into the office, professional mask firmly in place, and immediately sensed something off. People were whispering. Eyes followed her down the hallway. Christine from PR cornered her at the coffee machine. Is it true? She asked, voice low. Is what true? You and Daniel. Someone saw you two at Republic last week, looking very not professional. Aisha's stomach dropped. Christine, I'm not judging. I'm just warning you. Margaret from finance has been talking, and you know how she feels about workplace relationships. There's nothing inappropriate. I believe you. But Margaret doesn't care about appropriate. She cares about optics. And the optics of the CEO dating his image consultant. That's a headline waiting to happen. Aisha spent the rest of the morning fielding subtle questions and not-so-subtle stares. By lunch, she was exhausted. Her phone buzzed. Daniel, are you okay? People are being weird. Aisha, they know or they suspect. Daniel, let them talk. I don't care. Aisha, you should care. This affects both of us. Daniel, then let's address it. Together. Honestly. Aisha, what are you suggesting? Daniel, come to my office, please. 5 minutes later, she stood in his office, door closed, heart racing. We need to be smart about this, she said immediately. I know. I can transfer to a different project, work with other clients, keep professional distance. No, his voice was firm. You're brilliant at what you do. I'm not asking you to step back from your career because we're together. Then what are you asking? He walked around his desk, taking her hands. I'm asking you to trust me, to let me handle HR, handle the board. We're not doing anything wrong. We're two adults in a consensual relationship. Yes, I'm technically your boss, but you don't report directly to me. Your work is evaluated independently. There's no conflict of interest. People will still talk. Let them. I'm not hiding you, Aisha. I'm not pretending this isn't real just because it's complicated. You're willing to risk your reputation for you? Absolutely. He cupped her face. You're not a risk. You're the best thing that's happened to me in years. And I'll be damned if I let office politics ruin that. Tears pricked her eyes. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She kissed him. Quick, fierce, grateful. Okay, we do this together. Together. They spent the next hour strategizing. Daniel would speak with HR, formalize their relationship disclosure, ensure complete transparency. Aisha would maintain her professional boundaries, continue her work without favoritism or special treatment. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. As she left his office, Aisha felt lighter. Yes, people would talk. Yes, it would be complicated. But for the first time in 3 years, she wasn't running from something good, just because it scared her. She was running toward it. Her phone buzzed. Maya, how's your day? Aisha, complicated, but good. Maya, that's life, little sister. Complicated and good. Aisha, yeah, I think I'm finally okay with that. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose love, even when the world tells you it's complicated. Especially then. 2 months into whatever this was, relationship, partnership, love, and Aisha still couldn't quite believe it was real. Saturday morning found her at Daniel's house again, this time helping him prepare for Peter's wedding. Best man speech notes covered his dining table, crossed out and rewritten a dozen times. This is terrible, Daniel muttered, running his hands through his hair. I sound like a greeting card. Aisha looked up from her laptop. She was finishing a presentation for a client, comfortable enough now to work from his house. Read it to me. It's embarrassing. Daniel, read it. He sighed, picking up the latest draft. Peter and I met freshman year of college. He was my roommate, my best friend, and the person who taught me that family isn't just blood. It's the people who choose to stay. He paused. See? Greeting card. It's honest, that's what matters. It doesn't capture what I actually want to say. Which is what? Daniel was quiet for a moment. That watching him find Melissa made me believe in something I'd stopped believing in. That love doesn't have to be transactional, that someone can see all your flaws and choose you anyway. Aisha set down her laptop. Say that. I can't say that in front of 200 people. Why not? It's beautiful. It's too much. She walked over, sitting beside him. Daniel, you've spent your whole life being measured and controlled. This is your best friend's wedding. Be real. Be vulnerable. That's what people remember. Not the perfect words, but the true ones. He looked at her, something shifting in his expression. Is that what you do? See past people's walls? I try to. Walls are exhausting to maintain. Believe me, I know. He laced his fingers through hers. You've dismantled most of mine. Good. You look better without them. He kissed her. Slow, deep. The kind of kiss that made her forget about deadlines and presentations and everything except the way he made her feel. Come with me, he said against her lips. Where? To the wedding. Be my date. Let me show you off properly. Aisha pulled back slightly. That's a big step, meeting your best friend at his wedding, with all your college friends watching. Are you scared? A little. Of them, or of what it means. She considered lying, chose honesty instead. Both. This is getting serious, Daniel. Real. And once we cross certain lines, we can't uncross them. I know. He cupped her face. But I don't want to uncross them. I want to keep moving forward. With you. What if they don't like me? Impossible. You're brilliant, gorgeous, and you put up with me. They'll love you. You're biased. Completely. Doesn't make it less true. She smiled despite her nerves. Okay, I'll come. But you're buying me a new dress. Deal and shoes and whatever else you want. Careful, I have expensive taste. Good, so do I. Maya's gallery opening was that evening, and Aisha insisted they go together. Daniel wore a charcoal suit that made him look unfairly handsome, and Aisha wore emerald green, bold, striking, exactly how she felt. The gallery was packed. Critics, collectors, art lovers filling the space. Maya worked the room with practiced grace, but Aisha saw the nerves underneath. She's incredible, Daniel said, watching Maya discuss her work with a potential buyer. She is, but she doesn't always believe it. Sounds familiar. Aisha elbowed him. I believe in myself plenty. You do. But you don't always believe you deserve good things. The observation hit harder than it should have. That's not... It's okay. He squeezed her hand. I'm the same way. We're works in progress. When did you get so wise? When I met someone who made me want to be better. Before she could respond, Maya appeared, flushed with excitement. 3 sales, she announced. 3! And that critic from the Times loved the Becoming series. That's amazing! Aisha hugged her sister. I'm so proud of you. Couldn't have done it without you. Maya looked at Daniel. Either of you. That first sale gave me momentum. Thank you. You did this, Daniel said. Your talent, your vision. We just recognized what was already there. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Okay, you can definitely keep him. Later, after the opening wound down, the 3 of them sat on the gallery floor with wine and leftover cheese, shoes kicked off, completely at ease. So, Maya said, looking between them, how serious is this? Maya, Aisha warned. What? I'm your sister. I'm legally required to ask invasive questions. Daniel laughed. It's serious. For me, at least. And for you. Maya turned to Aisha. Aisha met Daniel's eyes. Yeah, it's serious. Good, because Mom's asking questions and I can only deflect for so long. You told Mom? She has a 6th sense. She knew something was different. I just confirmed you weren't dying or joining a cult. Great. Now I have to explain why I didn't tell her myself. Just bring Daniel to Sunday dinner, Maya suggested. Let her meet him. She'll love him. That's... Aisha started. A great idea, Daniel finished. I'd love to meet your mother. You say that now. Wait until she interrogates you about your intentions. My intentions are completely honorable. Are they? Maya asked, grinning. Mostly honorable. 70% honorable. Aisha buried her face in her hands. This family is going to scare him away. Please, Daniel said. I negotiate with venture capitalists for a living. I can handle one protective mother. You really can't, both sisters said in unison. Sunday dinner arrived with all the chaos Aisha expected. Her mother's house in Inglewood was warm, lived in, filled with the smell of cooking and the sound of old gospel music. Mama, this is Daniel, Aisha said, nervous in a way she hadn't been since high school. Her mother, Grace Monroe, 58, elegant in a purple dress with Aisha's same sharp eyes, looked Daniel up and down with the precision of a general inspecting troops. "So you're the one who's got my daughter glowing," Grace said. "Mama, hush. I'm talking to your young man." She turned back to Daniel. "You hurt her. I don't care how rich you are. We clear, crystal clear, ma'am. And for what it's worth, hurting her is the last thing I'd ever do." Grace studied him for a long moment, then smiled. "Good answer. Come help me in the kitchen. Aisha, you set the table." Daniel shot Aisha a slightly panicked look. She just grinned and mouthed, "Good luck." 20 minutes later, Aisha heard laughter from the kitchen. Real, genuine laughter. She peeked in to find Daniel chopping vegetables while her mother told stories about her father. "He was stubborn," Grace was saying, "but he had the biggest heart. Made me feel seen when the rest of the world wanted me invisible. That's how Aisha makes me feel," Daniel said quietly, "like I've been sleepwalking and she woke me up." Grace's expression softened completely. "Then, you're good for each other." Dinner was loud, warm, perfect. Grace asked questions about Daniel's work, his family, his intentions, but with kindness underneath the interrogation. Maya kept the conversation flowing, and Aisha watched, heart full, as the people she loved most became one unit. After dinner, Grace pulled Aisha aside while Daniel and Maya did dishes. "I like him," Grace said simply. "Yeah? He's good to you. I can see it. The way he looks at you, that's real love, baby." "It's fast, Mama. We've only been together a few months. Your daddy proposed after 6 weeks. Sometimes you just know." She squeezed Aisha's hand. "And you know, I can see it all over your face." Tears pricked Aisha's eyes. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "That it's too good. That something will go wrong. Something might. That's life. But you can't protect yourself from pain by refusing joy. That's just another kind of dying." "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You just started listening." Grace kissed her forehead. "Let yourself be happy, Aisha Marie. You've earned it." That night, back at Daniel's house, they lay in bed watching the city lights. "Your mother is terrifying," Daniel said. "I warned you. She's also wonderful. I see where you get your strength. And my stubborn streak. That too." He pulled her closer. "Thank you for today, for letting me into your world. Thank you for wanting in. Aisha? Yeah? I love you." The words hung in the air, simple, enormous. "True. I love you too," she whispered. He kissed her like she was air, like she was home, like she was everything he'd been searching for without knowing it. And for the first time in 3 years, Aisha believed in forever. Not the fairy tale kind, the real kind. The messy, complicated, beautiful kind that required work and trust and choosing each other every single day. "Stay," he murmured against her lips. "Always," she promised. And she meant it. The wedding was everything Aisha expected and nothing she was prepared for. Peter and Melissa exchanged vows in a vineyard in Napa Valley, surrounded by rolling hills and people who'd known Daniel since before he became the CEO, before the walls went up, before he learned to hide. Aisha wore a floor-length navy dress that made Daniel's eyes darken when he saw her. He wore a perfectly tailored tuxedo and looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine, but it was the way he held her hand during the ceremony, tight, like he needed the anchor, that made her heart squeeze. "Are you okay?" she whispered. "Yeah, just thinking. About how I want this someday with you." Her breath caught. They'd said, "I love you." They'd talked about forever in abstract terms. But this was concrete, real. "Daniel." "Later," he promised, squeezing her hand. "Let's get through my speech first." The reception was elegant chaos. Daniel introduced her to everyone. College friends, business partners, people who'd known him for decades. Each introduction came with a story, a glimpse into the life he'd lived before her. "This is Anthony," Daniel said, gesturing to a tall man with kind eyes. "He talked me out of dropping out sophomore year. He was having an existential crisis," Anthony explained to Aisha, convinced he was wasting his time on philosophy when he should be building something real. "What changed his mind?" Aisha asked. "I told him that building something real requires understanding why you're building it. Philosophy gives you the why." Anthony grinned at Daniel. "He's been overthinking everything ever since. Some things never change," Daniel admitted. Later, Aisha found herself talking with Melissa, the bride, radiant in white, genuinely interested in who Aisha was beyond being Daniel's date. "He's different with you," Melissa said, watching Daniel across the room. Lighter, more himself. "How do you mean?" "Daniel's brilliant, but he's always been guarded, like he's calculating every move, every word. But with you? She smiled. He just is. That's rare for him. He makes it easy to be myself, too. That's how you know it's real, when you don't have to perform. Melissa touched Aisha's arm. Peter and I are rooting for you two. Don't let him mess this up. I won't let either of us mess this up. Good answer. When it came time for speeches, Aisha watched Daniel walk to the microphone. He looked calm, composed, vintage Daniel. But she saw the slight tremor in his hands as he unfolded his notes. Peter and I met when we were 18, Daniel began, voice steady. We were assigned as roommates, which sounds random, but I think the universe knew exactly what it was doing. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Peter taught me something fundamental that first year. He taught me that connection isn't transactional, that people can care about you not because of what you can do for them, but because of who you are. Daniel's eyes found Aisha's. He showed me what real friendship looks like, the kind that survives distance and disagreements and the general chaos of becoming adults. He paused, setting down his notes. But watching him with Melissa taught me something even more important. It taught me that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who sees your imperfections and chooses you anyway. Someone who makes you want to be better while accepting exactly who you are right now. Aisha's vision blurred with tears. Peter, you've been my best friend for 20 years. And Melissa, you've been the best thing to ever happen to him. Thank you for showing me what's possible when you're brave enough to let someone in. His voice cracked slightly. May your forever be everything you're dreaming of right now. The room erupted in applause. Aisha watched Daniel return to his seat, saw the relief in his eyes, the vulnerability still raw on his face. You were perfect, she whispered. I was terrified. It didn't show. That's because you were here. He laced his fingers through hers. Dance with me. They swayed together on the dance floor, the music soft, the world narrowed to just them. What you said up there, Aisha started, about finding someone who sees your imperfections. I was talking about us. I know. Does that scare you? She looked up at him. No, it makes me feel seen, really seen. Good, because I see all of you, Aisha. Your brilliance, your strength, your kindness, but also your fears, your doubts, the way you overthink everything at 3 a.m. He smiled. I see you and I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They danced until her feet hurt, and the stars came out, and the vineyard glowed with string lights. And somewhere between the champagne and the laughter, and the way Daniel looked at her like she hung the moon, Aisha realized something profound. She wasn't scared anymore. Sunday morning, they drove back to Los Angeles in comfortable silence, fingers intertwined across the console. Aisha was half asleep when Daniel spoke. Move in with me. Her eyes flew open. What? Move in with me? To my house? Permanently? Daniel, that's... I know it's fast, but we spend every night together anyway. You have a drawer at my place. Your toothbrush lives in my bathroom. Half your wardrobe is in my closet. He glanced at her. This isn't impulsive. I've been thinking about it for weeks. Weeks? Since the night you stayed over after dinner at Republique. I woke up with you in my arms and thought, I want this every morning. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Always. Aisha's heart raced. Moving in together was huge. A commitment. A statement that this wasn't just dating. This was building a life. What about my apartment? She asked, buying time to process. Keep it. Sublet it. Turn it into an office space. Whatever you want. I'm not asking you to give up your independence. I'm asking you to share your life with mine. And work? People will definitely talk if we live together. Let them talk. We've already disclosed everything to HR. We're following all the rules. And honestly, Aisha? He pulled over to the side of the road, turning to face her fully. I don't care what people think. I care about you, about us, about building something real. She studied his face. Open, vulnerable, hopeful. This was Daniel without armor, without calculation. Just a man asking the woman he loved to take a leap with him. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course. Take all the time you need. But know this. I'm all in. Completely. And I'll wait as long as you need me to. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of honesty. She kissed him, soft, grateful, overwhelmed. Give me a week. Let me talk to Maya, wrap my head around it. Deal. That evening, Aisha sat on her apartment floor with Maya, wine flowing, processing everything. He wants you to move in, Maya repeated. The Millionaire CEO wants my baby sister to move into his Hollywood Hills mansion. When you say it like that, it sounds insane. It is insane. It's also incredibly romantic. Maya refilled their glasses. What's holding you back? Fear, mostly. What if we move in together and it ruins everything? What if the fantasy can't survive the reality? What if it can? What if living together makes it better? Maya leaned forward. Aisha, you've been protecting yourself for 3 years, playing it safe. But this is the opposite of safe, and I think that's exactly what you need. What if I'm not ready? Are you waiting to be ready? Or are you waiting to not be scared? Because those are different things, and you might never stop being scared. Aisha was quiet for a long moment. I love him, Maya. Like, really love him. The kind that changes everything. I know, sweetie, I can see it. And that terrifies me. Because if this ends, if something goes wrong, then it ends, and you survive. Like you've survived everything else. Maya squeezed her hand. But what if it doesn't end? What if this is it, your person, your home? Are you really going to let fear keep you from that? No, Aisha said quietly. I'm not. So I need to call him. She pulled out her phone, heart racing, and typed, Aisha, I don't need a week. Daniel, no? Aisha, no? Yes. I'll move in with you. Daniel, are you sure? Aisha, terrified, but sure. Is that weird? Daniel, that's perfect. When? Aisha, give me 2 weeks to sort things out. Then I'm yours. Daniel, you've been mine since Palm Springs, but I'll take the official version too. She smiled through tears, and Maya pulled her into a hug. I'm proud of you, Maya whispered. For what? For being brave enough to choose happiness. 2 weeks later, Aisha stood in Daniel's their bedroom, the last of her boxes unpacked. Her clothes hung beside his in the closet. Her books filled the empty shelves. Her coffee mug sat in the kitchen cabinet, like it had always belonged there. Daniel appeared in the doorway, smiling. How does it feel? He asked. Like home. Good. Because that's what it is now. Our home. He pulled her close, and she melted into him, feeling the rightness of it all. The fear was still there. It probably always would be. But underneath it was something stronger. Trust, love, the certainty that whatever came next, they'd face it together. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For seeing me, for choosing me, for making me believe in this. Thank you for letting me in. They stood like that as the sun set over Los Angeles, two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way and decided to build something real. And for the first time in her life, Aisha believed in forever. Not the fairy tale kind, the real kind, the kind you choose every single day. 9 months. That's how long it took for Aisha's life to completely transform. She stood in their bedroom, she still marveled at that, watching Daniel sleep in the early morning light. His face was peaceful, younger somehow, without the weight of responsibility he carried during the day. Her phone showed 6 a.m. She should let him sleep. Instead, she traced her fingers along his jawline, unable to resist. His eyes opened slowly, focusing on her with that smile reserved only for her. Morning, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. Morning. I'm going to the pool. The infamous pool. The very same. Want to join me? Always. They drove to Palm Springs in comfortable silence, Daniel's hand warm on her thigh. The corporate retreat house, his house technically, stood empty this weekend. He'd given the staff time off, wanting just them. The pool glittered in the morning sun, exactly as beautiful as Aisha remembered. But this time, she wasn't alone. This time, she had Daniel. Remember the first time you saw this pool? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. How could I forget? Most embarrassing moment of my life. Best moment of mine. She turned in his arms. You're ridiculous. I'm honest. That morning changed everything. He kissed her forehead. Seeing you like that, unguarded, completely yourself, I realized I'd been sleepwalking through my life. And you woke me up. By being naked. By being real. By showing me what it looks like when someone doesn't perform every second. He cupped her face. You taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength. When did you get so philosophical? When I fell in love with an image consultant who sees past everyone's carefully constructed facades. They swam together, laughing, splashing like children. But there was something different in Daniel's energy. Nervous anticipation, barely contained excitement. What's going on with you? Aisha asked, floating nearby. What do you mean? You've been weird all morning. Good weird, but weird. Can't I just enjoy swimming with my girlfriend? Daniel Whitmore, I've learned to read you better than quarterly reports. Spill. He swam to the edge, pulling himself out. Water cascaded down his body. Athletic build, strong shoulders, the man who'd somehow become her entire world. Come here, he said, extending his hand. She swam over, letting him help her out. He wrapped a towel around her shoulders, then took both her hands. 9 months ago, he began, you walked out of this pool completely naked, and I thought my brain had short-circuited. Oh God, are we really doing this? Let me finish. His smile was tender. That moment, awkward and unexpected and perfect, it changed my life, not because of what I saw, but because of what happened after. You laughed, you made a joke, you didn't fall apart or hide or pretend it didn't happen. You just handled it, with grace and humor and honesty. Daniel. And then you started dismantling every wall I'd built. Piece by piece, you showed me what real connection looks like, what love looks like, what home feels like. His voice cracked slightly. You made me believe I deserve good things, not because of what I've built or how much money I have, but because of who I am. Tears blurred her vision. You do deserve good things. So do you. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. He released one of her hands, reaching into his pocket. When he knelt, right there by the pool, both of them still dripping wet, Aisha's heart stopped. Aisha Marie Monroe, he said, opening a small velvet box to reveal a stunning ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Will you marry me? Time stopped. The world narrowed to just them, Daniel on one knee, hope and love and vulnerability written across his face. I know it's fast, he continued. I know we've only been together 9 months, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You're my partner, my best friend, my home, and I don't want to wait another day to make this official. Aisha's hands trembled. Marriage. Forever. The real kind. 3 years ago, Alan had made her feel small, unworthy, like her ambition was a flaw instead of a feature. But Daniel celebrated everything she was, challenged her, supported her, made her feel seen in ways she'd never experienced. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Yes. She pulled him up, kissing him hard. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, yes, yes. He lifted her, spinning them both, laughing with pure joy. When he set her down, his hands shook as he slid the ring onto her finger. Perfect fit, like everything else with them. I love you, he said. I love you too, so much. They stood there, wrapped in each other, the morning sun warm on their faces. In the distance, Los Angeles sprawled out like a promise. Should we call people? Aisha asked eventually. In a minute. Right now, I just want this. You, us. We're engaged. We're engaged, he repeated, wonder in his voice. Maya's going to lose her mind. Your mother's going to interrogate me about wedding dates. Are you scared? Terrified, but in the best way. He kissed her softly. I'm choosing this fear, this risk, this love, every single day. Me too. Later, back in Los Angeles, they sat in their living room making calls. Maya screamed so loud Daniel had to pull the phone away from his ear. Grace cried and demanded they come to dinner immediately. Peter sent a text that simply said, finally, told you she was the one. My family wants to meet you, Daniel said quietly. My parents, my sister, they're flying in next week. That's big. It is. But they need to know you're not just my partner. You're my future. What if they don't approve? They will, but honestly. Even if they didn't, it wouldn't change anything. I'm marrying you, Aisha. That's not negotiable. She kissed him, grateful for his certainty, when her own wavered. I never thought I'd have this, she admitted. After Alan, I convinced myself I was better off alone, safer. And now? Now I know that safe isn't the same as happy, and I'd rather be happy with you than safe with anyone else. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said to me. Don't let it go to your head. Too late. They spent the evening calling friends, posting photos, Aisha's hand with the ring, both of them grinning like idiots. The responses flooded in. Congratulations, well wishes, people who'd watched them fall in love celebrating this next step. That night, as they lay in bed, Aisha stared at the ring on her finger. It caught the moonlight, sparkling like possibility. What are you thinking? Daniel asked. That 9 months ago I was convinced I had everything figured out. My career, my life, my carefully constructed walls. And then you walked into that pool area. And saw you naked. And saw you naked, she agreed, laughing. And somehow that ridiculous moment led to this. To us. To forever. Best accident of my life. Mine too. He pulled her closer, and she melted into him, feeling the rightness of it all. The fear was still there, probably always would be, but underneath it was something stronger. Love, trust, the certainty that whatever came next, they'd face it together. Daniel? Yeah? Thank you. For what? For seeing me. Really seeing me. And choosing me anyway. You make it sound like a sacrifice. Choosing you is the easiest thing I've ever done. She kissed him, soft, grateful, overwhelmed with love. When should we get married? She asked. Tomorrow? Next week? Whenever you want. That's not helpful. I'm serious. I'd marry you right now if I could. The timeline doesn't matter, just the outcome. Maya will kill us if we don't give her time to plan something. Then we give her time, but not too much time. I'm impatient. For what? For forever. For waking up every morning knowing you're my wife. For building a life with you that looks nothing like what either of us planned, but exactly like what we both need. Tears pricked her eyes again. You're making me cry. Good tears or bad tears? The best tears. They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other, the ring on her finger a promise, the future spreading out before them like an adventure. And for the first time in her life, Aisha wasn't scared of what came next. She was excited, because whatever it was, they'd face it together, and that made all the difference. Sometimes the end is really just the beginning, and sometimes the person who sees you naked, literally and figuratively, is the person who helps you see yourself clearly for the first time. 2 years later, the Palm Springs house glowed with string lights and laughter. Aisha stood on the terrace, watching the sunset paint the desert in shades of gold and pink. 2 years. 2 years since Daniel had knelt by this very pool and asked her to marry him. 2 years since she'd said yes, without hesitation. They'd decided to host a casual summer gathering. Friends and family, good food, no formality. Just the people they loved most, together in the place where it all began. So much had changed, and yet everything that mattered had stayed exactly the same. There you are. Daniel's arms wrapped around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. Hiding from your own party. Taking a moment. It's overwhelming. Good overwhelming. The best overwhelming. Below them, their backyard, she still loved saying that, was filled with the people they loved most. Maya and her boyfriend Eric were arguing good-naturedly about art with one of Daniel's college friends. Grace was showing wedding photos to Peter and Melissa, who'd flown in from Boston with their 6-month-old daughter. Daniel's parents sat with his sister, Christina, all of them laughing at something Grace had said. 2 families, woven together. Not perfect, but real. What are you thinking? Daniel asked. That I almost missed this, all of this, because I was too scared to take a chance. But you did take the chance. We both did. He turned her to face him, and she saw the same love in his eyes that had been there 2 years ago. Deeper now, strengthened by time and choice and the everyday work of building a life together. Happy summer, Mrs. Whitmore, he said softly. Happy summer, Mr. Monroe Whitmore. She smiled at the hyphenated name he'd insisted on taking. Still getting used to that? Never, I love it. It reminds me every day that we're a team. Their wedding had been small, just 50 people in Maya's gallery, surrounded by art and love and joy. Aisha had worn a simple white dress that made Daniel cry when he saw her. They'd written their own vows, promising not perfection, but presence, not ease, but effort. Not a fairy tale, but a real, messy, beautiful partnership. And they'd kept those promises every single day since. Come on, Daniel said, taking her hand. Everyone's waiting for the toast. They walked downstairs together, fingers intertwined. Maya handed them champagne glasses, grinning. Speech time, she announced. And make it good. I cried at the wedding. I want to cry again. No pressure, Aisha muttered to Daniel. We've got this, he whispered back. They stood before their gathered family and friends, and Aisha felt overwhelming gratitude wash over her. 2 years ago, Daniel began, I stood by that pool and asked this woman to marry me, and she said yes, even though I was soaking wet and probably terrifying. Laughter rippled through the group. We wanted to bring everyone together tonight, not for any special occasion, just to celebrate being here, together, in the place where our story began. He looked at Aisha. What I didn't say then, what I'm saying now, is thank you. Thank you, Aisha, for seeing past every wall I'd built, for challenging me to be better while accepting me exactly as I am, for making me believe in love, not the Hollywood version, but the real kind, the kind that requires work and honesty and choosing each other every single day. Aisha squeezed his hand, tears already forming. My turn, she said, voice thick with emotion. I came to Palm Springs 2 years ago thinking I had my life figured out. I was successful, independent, protected, and then I walked out of that pool naked. "Still the best moment of my life," someone shouted. It sounded like Anthony. "And everything changed. Daniel, you taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, that letting someone in doesn't make you smaller, it makes you more. That love isn't about perfection, it's about presence." She looked around at all the faces watching them, family by blood and family by choice. "And to everyone here, thank you for showing up tonight, for supporting us always, for being part of our story. You've made our life richer." "To Aisha and Daniel," Grace called out, raising her glass. "To love," Maya added. "To choosing each other," Melissa finished. Glasses clinked, and the celebration continued. But later, as the night wound down and guests began to leave, Aisha found herself back by the pool with Daniel. "Remember when this was the most embarrassing moment of your life?" he asked. "Now it's the best moment of my life." "How did that happen?" "You happened. We happened." She leaned into him. "You know what I realized?" "What?" "That day at the pool, I wasn't just physically naked. I was emotionally naked too, stripped of all my defenses, all my carefully constructed walls. And instead of judging me or using it against me, you saw me, really saw me, and fell completely in love, even though I was a mess, especially because you were real." He kissed her forehead. "We're all messes, Aisha. The trick is finding someone who loves your mess as much as their own." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the moon rise over the desert. "Daniel?" "Yeah? Thank you for being brave enough to walk into that pool area 2 years ago. Thank you for being brave enough to be yourself, even when that meant being naked. Especially then." She laughed, and he captured the sound with a kiss. Tender, deep, full of promise. Behind them, the house glowed warm with the remnants of celebration. Ahead of them, the future stretched out, unknown but no longer scary, because whatever came next, they'd face it together. Partners, best friends, home. Aisha pulled back slightly, looking at the man who'd changed her life. "And what are you thinking?" Daniel asked. "That I'd walk out of that pool naked 1,000 times if it meant finding you. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said. Don't let it go to your head. Too late." They laughed together, and Aisha thought about how far they'd come. From strangers to lovers to partners to spouses. From fear to trust to love so deep it felt like breathing. Not perfect, never perfect, but real, honest, true, and that was better than any fairy tale. The end, a message from their story. Love isn't about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who sees you, all of you, the beautiful and the broken, and chooses to stay. It's about being brave enough to be vulnerable, strong enough to be honest, and wise enough to know that forever isn't a destination. It's a choice you make every single morning. Aisha and Daniel started with an embarrassing moment by a pool, but that moment of unexpected vulnerability became the foundation for something extraordinary. Because sometimes the best love stories begin when we let our walls down, when we stop performing and start being real. Their journey wasn't without challenges. There were hard conversations, difficult choices, moments of doubt, but through it all they chose each other. Not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. So here's the question we leave you with. What would your life look like if you were brave enough to let someone see the real you? Not the curated version, not the performance, but the messy, imperfect, beautifully human truth. And are you ready to take that chance? Thank you for reading Aisha and Daniel's story. May you find someone who sees you, really sees you, and loves what they find. Sometimes the most embarrassing moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings. The end. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment your thoughts. Your participation is very important to us. See you next time.